Welcome to another painting tutorial. In this one we're going to look at the Gandalf model from the Escape from Goblin Town Hobbit Strategy Battle game by Games Workshop. So here's the paints that I use from the GW range. I basically followed the Tale of Painters painting tutorial, kind of like what I did for Thorin. Although I did deviate a little bit more this time, especially with the order of things. So I'll show you on the model kind of the order. So the outer cloak and the hat, which is here, basically I used these colors here. So started with Storm Vermin, Newland Oil, then went over it again with Storm Vermin, Dawnstone, and Ministerium Gray. I also did the next layer of gray on it by accident, but only did sort of edge highlighting, so that's kind of optional. For the inner cloak, which is you can see it down there, as well as the belt here for his sword and the hilt on the sword. I used the fang, and then I gave that all the same wash with Newland Oil, and then kind of redid a bit of the fang, rust gray and Fenrisian gray. For the for the skin, I used Bugman's Glow as the base coat, and then did the flesh shade on there, and then Kadayan flesh tone and Kislev flesh. For the beard, this is a bit of a different combination, some browns and grays mixed in there. So Baneblade brown as the base. Now I did use some Agrax Earthshade on the staff here, so I kind of touched in some of the deeper areas with that, as well as some of the transitions. And then I did a Administerium Gray and Pale Pallid Witch Flesh. For the sword and buckles, actually I think I used Ironbreaker for the base, and then Newland Oil, and then just a bit of Rune Fang for the highlights. For the staff, belt, and shoes, so that's the other belt here as well. You can see I did a little bit of detail on that one. So Rhinox Hide for the base, Agrax Earthshade, Gorthir Brown, and then Baneblade Brown. Alright, so now we're doing the base coat on here. I actually forgot to record the first time I went through, so trying to do it a nice light layer, and then took 2 coats to get it all covered up. So that's why this kind of skipped through half of it. So there's the base color. Now I'm working on the Fenrisian color there for the scarf. So I'm just doing all the base coats first, kind of off of the order that the painting guide I was following. I like to do all the base colors and then move on to shadows and then highlight up. That saves me a lot of time in the detail areas because I can paint over any mistakes with the next layer. So I'm just doing the inner cloak there with the fang, as well as that belt, and just trying to get it all painted up pretty nicely. Some of the washes and shades will hide some of the errors, and that's again why I like to do that. I painted both those belts, but now I'm going to paint over them. So doing the staff there, and I'm going to do the lower belt, and the shoes, flipping the guy upside down. Okay, and the belt. So that layer took a little bit longer than some, just because it's a bit fiddly. Okay, next we're doing the base color on the skin. So I painted the whole hands there. I'm going to paint over the gloves again, so wasn't quite sure what was what when I was painting it, so I just did everything. And with the skin here, I can be a little bit sloppy around the beard because it's going to get covered up as well. Okay, now I'm doing the base coat for the beard. That's that Baneblade brown, and just trying to cover it in as nicely as I can. And again, a little bit fiddly because of all the indents, so trying to get the paint right in the bottom of everything there. And doing the gloves up as well. It's the same color. And I mentioned this in the other video that I did of this style. Some of the things I do off camera just to touch up, because the thing I'm using there to hold the guy in the center of the picture is a bit awkward, especially with the lighting that I have. Okay, so doing the base coat on the silvers. So the sword, I know it should be in a hilt, but or in a sheath, but I didn't do it that way. So painting Newland Oil, black wash over just about everything. Probably should have used something a little bit lighter, so I could have mixed this or watered it down a bit more. It ended up shading things pretty dark, but that's okay, I guess. And you can see how it nicely pools in all the in the crevices there. And get the hat as well. Okay, and going to move on to the next layer, which is the flesh shade. So I avoided the skin areas, and I'm just doing that up with that flesh shade. So it's a bit of a warmer shade, not quite as harsh as Agrak's Earth Shade, which I'm using now for the staff, shoes, and I'm going to use a little bit on the beard. You'll see me going in there, and the hair. Just trying to get in some of the deeper spots. So I put a nice thin layer of Earth Shade on that. Okay, now going over the fang part again, so getting that the deep shadows kind of softened a little bit, blending it with the base color. I find after doing a wash like that, it's good to go over the base color again to get things nicely nicely smoothed out, because the next layer is going to be pretty harsh against the shaded base color. I think I forgot to mention the scarf in the main tutorial part, but that's basically the next layer up, next highest color on the Space Wolf gray sort of scheme. So it's just the lighter version of it. And highlighting up Fenrisine gray. And gonna do, I think I do a touch on the inner cloak with that as well. Maybe just the edges. One of the reasons I like this tutorial, the one that I'm following, is just the nice different colors of browns or grays and browns that are mixed in with the colors there, rather than just using straight grays on everything. It helps differentiate the scarf and the inner cloak and that sort of thing. So I'm just doing the same color as the base coat on the outer cloak there, and again that's just to help lessen the harshness of the shade, and start bringing up some of the highlights. Okay, using Dawnstone to highlight up some of the edges there. You can see my paintbrush isn't the greatest. I need to get some new brushes. People are always asking me what brushes, and I have a hard time answering that because I just kind of buy whatever I see that I think is good. Every once in a while I get a really great brush that lasts forever. The heavy metal brushes that they released last Christmas worked really well, but those are ridiculously expensive. The other ones that I really liked were Raphael brushes that I found online, recommended through From the Warp, and bought those, and I think I might buy some of those again because they seem to last quite a long time and are a little bit more reasonably priced. If anybody has any good paintbrushes they want to recommend, please feel free to leave a comment below. So as you can see, I'm just doing all the folds in the cloak there and bringing up the highlights nicely. I'm trying to blend them a little bit as well when I do that, and doing the same on the hat, trying to make it look blended. Okay, so now I'm using the lightest gray, and I mistakenly do that on the cloak. It's not really supposed to go on the cloak. It makes it a bit light. That's meant just for the scarf, but that's okay, because it adds a little bit of extra depth to that cloak. And it also adds a lot of time to this section of the tutorial. And see, you can do just doing edges on things there and trying to get some of the object source lighting or upper edge lighting on things there. Okay, now moving on to Cadayan Flesh Tone. So that was the base color that I used. I'm using a really fine brush to kind of go over the skin and smooth it out a bit after that wash. Not a lot of skin, so that's reasonably quick. And then I'm going to do the next one, which is that Kislev flesh, and just doing the edges on things. Because this is Gandalf, not the dwarves, he doesn't get a red nose, so I'm done with the flesh there. I do the eyes off camera because they're really fiddly, but I did sort of a Rhinox hide eye socket, a little bit of white in the center, and then a Rhinox hide pupil. So I'm doing the beard now, highlighting it up through the colors mentioned before. So I think I ended up with a Pale Witch Flesh. There it is, there coming. So kind of nice browns and off-whites. I like the tutorial. Again, the Tale of Painters one uses those browns in there. So highlighting up the staff, so that's Gorther brown, and trying to get some nice grain on it. So running the brush sideways down the staff to try to pick up some of the detail that was molded in there. And then I'm going to do some detail on the belt. I'm doing it right there. So trying to get some lines, some cross hatching on it, sort of thing. And then highlighting up the rest of the belt around the back. Okay, now using Baneblade Brown to do the final highlight on the staff and the belt. And we're getting near the end here. In this tutorial I don't show the base that I did. I just see that after this and the finished pictures. Oh, and highlighting up the hands. I forgot to do those when I did the beard. Oh, sorry, the gloves. Yeah, I don't show the base just because it's pretty straightforward. No need to. Okay, and then finally Runefang doing the belt buckles there. I didn't bother base coating them because they're brown. So they just got the highlight, but I think that's good enough. And then painting the sword as if it's open, which I know it's not, but that's good enough. Okay, so now we're going to go back and see the finished pictures. Hope you enjoyed this part. Okay, so here's the finished model. I'm going to walk around it. I've already shown you the process, and either you skipped forward or you're checking this out. So yeah, added some of the Strickland mud to the base and some static grass. And yeah, nice looking model, paints up pretty quick because there's a lot of similar colors on it, and ready to go on the tabletop. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you subscribe and share this with other people you play with so that I get lots of views, and that helps me make more videos. See you next time.